What's the craziest way you caught your ex cheating? Not the craziest, but did you know your neighbors can bust you? A neighbor once texted my friend, "You should come home," without explaining why. My friend came home and caught his wife in bed with another guy. A friend once asked me to help with a little kitchen renovation. She wanted to surprise her husband while he was out of town. They had a Ring camera, so all week she had me come in through the back door. When her husband got back, he roasted the neighbor hard. Seriously, you watched some guy sneak into my house all week and didn't even text me? He was joking, of course, but still. He did love the cabinets, though. She said her ex was just at her place fixing her car. I know this ex. We used to be friends, and I actually fixed his car for him once. The guy doesn't even know which end of a screwdriver to hold. I came home unexpectedly early. He wasn't there, but the bedroom was a mess with stains. He later tried to convince me it was a poltergeist. Hard to blame the guy. It's not every day you get the chance to hook up with a ghost. This didn't happen to me, but to a friend. He found out his girlfriend was cheating when he came home and saw a dead naked man on his bed, an ambulance, and his girlfriend sitting next to him in a robe, sobbing. Turns out the guy had a severe allergy to a food my friend eats regularly. She gave it to him. He ate it, and he choked to death. So she was in shock, and I helped my friend clean everything up. After the ambulance left, he just threw all her stuff out and locked the door. Edit. Lots of questions from you. I'm not going to say what exactly he was allergic to. It's not a very common food in that region. The guy probably didn't even know he was allergic to it. Cause of death was ruled an allergic reaction. That's all I was told. The woman wasn't charged because nobody wanted to make the story public. The bed and mattress had to be cleaned. My friend couldn't afford a new one at the time. If the story ever got out, they'd just brand him a cuckold and humiliate him even more. His own mom told me everything at Thanksgiving, in front of the whole family. She looked at me from across the table and said, "I'm sorry, honey, but you deserve to know." He almost choked on his mashed potatoes. Honestly, best Thanksgiving of my life. His mom and I still talk. So after the breakup, you got custody of his mom? After my divorce, I kept my mother-in-law too. I see her more often than I see that cheating jerk. She lived with me for 3 years after the divorce and gave him hell, telling him he's exactly like his father. And he can't stand his father. Ha ha ha. Actually, right here on Reddit, I found out he'd been posting for months in a local 18+ group, looking for hookups. And I stumbled onto it completely by accident. One Sunday, I was about to take a nap, but decided to scroll Reddit to fall asleep faster. I saw a post about a missing girl. I clicked, and it turned out the story was from my state, really close by. I started reading the comments and found one saying it happened right in someone's neighborhood. I clicked the profile. What a coincidence. It was him. His profile was full of nude photos, gross propositions, and requests. That day my life changed, and honestly for the better. Like the universe rudely shoved my face toward the exit of that relationship. I'm much happier now, but that day and that discovery genuinely rewired me. I recently heard a joke from a stand-up comic. A woman found her boyfriend's Tinder on their shared tablet, and it was nothing but rejections. Hundreds of women didn't want to date him, let alone sleep with him. And she started wondering which was worse, finding out he's cheating, or finding out that the only person in the world willing to sleep with him is her. She went to Mexico with a group of friends. I stayed back to work. A couple of weeks later, a girl walks into my store, comes up to me, and says my name, even though I'd never seen her before. I go, yeah? And she says, "I thought you should see this." And she hands me a Polaroid. In it, my girlfriend is kissing some random guy while also grabbing another guy through his jeans. Wonderful. I worked a rotation schedule, 4 days on, 4 days off. During my shift, I stayed at a hotel, then came home. One night, I really missed her. Texted a couple of times, no answer. No big deal, neither of us was glued to our phones. I called, Silence again. I got a little worried. She doesn't drive. Figured maybe she missed the bus. Phone died. Whatever. I drove home, grabbed some Chinese food on the way, got in, took a shower, set the table, and waited. Called a bunch more times. No answer. I ate dinner, went to bed at 1100, got up at 700. Still no her. I wrote a note and left it on the bed. At lunch, she called. Oh, sorry, I was so tired. I came home, watched a movie, and passed out. Yeah, right. I say, you didn't even come home. What do you mean? I was home all night. Me. Come on, I didn't see you here. When you get home, check the note on the pillow. I'll come by tomorrow to get my stuff. I don't know if she was cheating or not. Honestly, I don't care. She could have said anything, stayed at her boss's, crashed at a friend's, went to a club, no problem. But she lied. Did she try to explain herself, or just admit she got caught? Nope. She just said, well, that's that. You won't believe it, but we had a shared Spotify road trip playlist, and suddenly songs started getting added around the middle of the night. Slow acoustic love songs that definitely weren't me. I checked the profile activity, and the whole time it said, listening with Jason. I'm like, who the hell is Jason? Turns out it wasn't a feature. It was my ex's lover. Her account was logged into a game on his PlayStation. I found out about the cheating through games too. She slept with a mutual friend, and I noticed the gifts he kept sending me in Pokemon Go. I kept thinking, why are they all coming from a Pokestop at my girlfriend's house? He bought a new iPhone, but left the old one synced to his number and iCloud. Every message he got popped up on the screen of that old iPhone sitting at my place. I wonder how many divorces iCloud has helped finalize by now. I heard about a woman who got a notification that someone weighing 60 kilograms stepped on her smart scale at 3 a.m. She was away on a business trip at the time. That's how she found out her husband was cheating. Looking at all this, I realize how many people get busted by their own tech. It's been that way since the days of itemized landline phone bills. My ex went to Washington for addiction treatment, disappeared for a few weeks, and stopped answering calls. When he finally decided to reply to one of my messages, he just sent a photo. His girlfriend in the hospital with their newborn baby in her arms. Nothing else, just, sorry, I'm polyamorous. And you can join us for a threesome if you want to keep the relationship going. Disgusting. We were driving through town, she had just moved here, when she suddenly pointed at a place near the train station and asked, is that like a hotel? Can you stay there? It's right by the station. I said, yeah, that's a pub and an inn. But I didn't think much of it. About a week later, that conversation suddenly popped back into my head. Why would she even ask about a hotel? And why specifically mention the train station? It nagged at me, even though I'd never suspected her before. One day while she was at work, I sat down at the computer, and she was logged into her email. I'd never gone through her messages before, but I just had to know. Nothing suspicious in the inbox, but the sent folder had a bunch of emails to some guy. Turns out she'd met him downtown during a bachelorette party. They were arranging to meet up, and he asked where there was a spot near the train station. I printed out the emails and left them on the bed. When she got home, I deliberately left the room so she'd read it all herself. Of course, she started with every excuse in the book. Anything to avoid admitting fault. She claimed they didn't even meet, but that was enough for me. I just showed her the door. NBA on TNT. Her daughter had died in a car crash right before her high school graduation. She said she was going to Phoenix to see her cousin. The few months before I found out were incredibly heavy and dark. Losing a child is something words can't even describe, and watching someone you love go through it is a daily waking nightmare. Anyway, she sent me a photo from the arena, and I realized she was sitting almost courtside. So I turned on the broadcast and saw her there, snuggled up against some elderly guy. Helping someone through a tragedy like that and then running into betrayal is a very strange experience. She'd been a covert narcissist from the start, but losing her daughter seemed to finally break her, and I took the full brunt of it. We used to get paper phone bills itemizing every call, and I paid them. One day I noticed her phone kept calling the same unfamiliar number. I dialed it, and a guy I knew answered. At that point, pretty much everything was clear. In my experience, people who cheat are mostly pretty dumb. To be fair, we probably only catch the dumb ones. We have no idea how many people successfully hide their affairs. She had a side job as a waitress at Applebee's, and once said she was transferring to another location because she'd had a falling out with a coworker. Okay, fine, nothing unusual. On her very first day at the new place, my cousin texts me and asked me to call. She'd just met my girlfriend, who told her she transferred not because of any argument, but because she was sleeping with her manager. I didn't even know my cousin worked there, and obviously my girlfriend didn't either. So she casually started telling her new coworker why she transferred, how her boyfriend has no clue, and how she knows it's a mistake because she loves her boyfriend so much. Then she asked my cousin for her last name, and it matched mine. My cousin asked the boyfriend's name and heard my name. She didn't say anything then, but reached out to me at the first chance. I waited until my soon-to-be ex got off work, called, and asked if she'd met my cousin. She immediately started denying everything, saying my cousin was lying and so on. I just hung up, and a couple of days later, I dropped her stuff off at her parents' place. He went on a business trip, leaving his old phone at home. Messages started coming in on it. His coworker wrote that she'd come over now to hang out and watch a movie. I saw this while I was on the phone with him, and at that moment, I hear a knock on his door. He goes, "Oh, that's probably Dan." Okay, let's talk later. On top of that, he was cheating on me with his best friend's girlfriend. I found that out at Warped Tour because I was logged into his Skype. Screw you, Elijah. True story. One time at dinner, my brother asked, "Who here thinks they're dating my girlfriend? Raise your hand." I raised mine. "Not so fast," he says. And he shows me a recent text where she says she's dating her ex, even though she'd told me they broke up. Literally the day before, we'd been talking about when we'd get engaged, and I said I needed to save up a bit for a ring. He set her up in a tent behind our house, where there's a public park. I thought some homeless person was living there, and I kept telling my kid not to put a ladder against the wall and to stay away. I never once saw this person, and even called the city. The ladder kept moving, and I figured it was my kid spying on the homeless guy. He swore he wasn't touching the ladder, and it started to seem strange to me. Eventually, after endless 12-hour shifts and constant exhaustion, I finally put two and two together. I found her stuff in a backpack in our closet. I have so much in there that I just never noticed, and more of it packed away in empty shoeboxes. Just pure evil. I was working in another city, and she decided it was a great time to get back together with her ex. We'd just started living together, but she still had her old apartment. Her roommate, a mutual acquaintance, made an anonymous Facebook account and messaged me about what was going on. I figured out who it was almost immediately, but didn't tell anyone. I just kept pressing my girlfriend until she confessed on her own. I'd say stuff like, "I can tell something's off. Tell me what's going on." Stuff like that drives me nuts. I had an ex who did exactly the same thing, except I was completely innocent. For months, I noticed that after my shower, my phone wasn't where I'd left it. For months, she asked leading questions. Who I was with, where, when I went out with friends. I constantly heard, "I feel like something's wrong. Just tell me the truth." Over and over. It wore me down. And guess who was actually the one cheating? Not me. I found out my ex was cheating on me with a coworker. After that, I started watching her Instagram stories every day and dressing exactly like her. Every day I watched him come home from work with a totally bewildered look on his face. Every single day. I'd suspected something for a while, but couldn't directly accuse either her or him. One day, I was with her dad, and he accidentally called me by another guy's name, the exact name I'd been suspecting. That's how I realized that for the last 6 months or so, they hadn't been hearing about me at home, but about him. The old days, late 80s, no internet, no social media. I was dating a girl whose dad went hunting every week. I'm a hunter myself. And one Sunday when he got back, I teased him. Something like, "Weird that you didn't catch anything. You look like you just got out of the shower, clean and shaven." His wife heard that and decided to test him. The next weekend he went hunting again, and when he got back, he started complaining that she hadn't packed his socks. She said, "If you'd opened your rifle case, you'd have found them. So where were you really?" And there it was. They cracked him instantly. Within a minute, he admitted everything. His daughter was awesome, my first love, and he turned out to be a real jerk who ended up with nothing after the divorce. My boyfriend went out drinking with friends, came home late, wasted. He wanted Taco Bell and decided to order through DoorDash, but he was so gone he couldn't even unlock his phone. I offered to place the order from his phone myself. While I was doing that, a Grindr notification popped up. For the record, I'm a woman, and he was supposedly straight. We'd been together 7 years, and that notification turned out to be just the tip of the iceberg. He had a whole folder of his own nudes on his phone, plus photos of himself in women's lingerie. We're not together anymore. I accidentally overheard her friend egging her on to cheat instead of working on our relationship. I'd had my suspicions, but I still hoped she wasn't to blame, that guys were just coming on to her. I knew the guy she cheated on me with. We'd met a few times. That bastard cried on my shoulder at the bar where she worked, thanking me for my support, while the whole time he was hitting on my wife and testing her boundaries. Context. My ex was a sailor and would leave for another city to board his ship. I was booking a hotel to travel with him to see my family over the summer and stumbled onto a 6-month-old reservation for the very day he supposedly left for work. I asked him about it, and he said he was drunk and doesn't remember anything. I remember he really was hammered then. He called me at 3 a.m. and told me he'd fallen asleep on the ship and so on. But I went into Uber and found the receipts. A ride from the train station to the hotel, then another one at 2:30 a.m. from the hotel to the dock, arriving right at 3 o'clock, when he called me saying he'd fallen asleep on the ship. If you're going to cheat, better not leave a digital trail in shared accounts. We'd shared our location with each other for years. When things suddenly went downhill, he became cold and aggressive for no reason. I started checking where he was more often. Turns out every Friday night while I was at work, I'm a bartender, he'd drive to the same unfamiliar place. I was afraid to ask him directly. He could blow up over any little thing, and I had no hard proof. And honestly, I was in denial. We broke up without ever discussing it. But the night we split, a close friend of mine used a people search site to track down the address he'd been going to, and sent me a list of people on that street. I recognized her right away, an acquaintance of his he'd once introduced me to. It felt really good to finally throw it in his face and call him a coward. Maybe it's not the most unique story, but my ex was such a dumbass that he took his coworker out on dates and paid with our shared bank card. Every time he paid, and he ended up spending about $1,000 in one night, I got notifications from the bank. She was shamelessly sleeping with her roommate. And this was during a long-distance relationship of over 5 years. It went on for more than a year, and it was so obvious that her best friend basically told me straight out when I asked. That whole year, I'd been planning to move to her city. And I'd just done it, right before it all came to light. I found out literally a few hours ago and haven't slept at all. Now I'm waiting for her to wake up or come online on WhatsApp so I can grab my stuff and never see her again. This was around 2006 when Lips of an Angel by Hinder came out. The MySpace era. My boyfriend put that song on his profile, and my best friend, the one he was cheating on me with, made Lips of an Angel her username. It's almost funny to look back on now. I once told him, "If you ever cheat on me, I won't say anything right away. I'll just start slipping laxatives into your food." And then one night, he suddenly felt awful. He sat down on the edge of the bed and confessed everything. When he realized I hadn't actually put anything in his food, he was just dumbstruck. He was convinced I'd busted him. I went to bed, and she was sitting on the couch on a work call. By 2 a.m., she was gone. Texted that she went out for a late-night snack. By 4 o'clock, she still wasn't back. At 6 o'clock, I got the kids up, took them to school, called in sick, and tracked her with Find My iPhone. Found our car. Some guy was asleep up front, and she was in the back, covered in vomit. They'd gone out to dinner, and she got completely wasted. Classic rookie mistake. The other woman messaged me and asked point blank if I was dating this guy. I didn't really want to discuss my personal life with her, but she started telling me about them herself. I only asked a couple of things. What did he cook for you? Some of the dishes matched. When was this? The timing lined up. He went on a trip with his family. Yep. The place matched what he'd told me. Do you know his family? She said, no. I do. Then she said, I regret giving him that cookware set. And that was enough for me, because I'd been using those pots and pans for the last 2 weeks before her message. I'd even asked him where they came from, and he said he bought them secondhand. His answer had seemed strange to me even then. I thanked her, and never wrote again. I broke up with him by text. I don't think he ever figured out he got busted by cookware, unless she told him herself. I was away on a business trip when they told me she'd died in a car crash. Turns out she was pleasuring some guy right there on the highway. He lost control, and they both died. Honestly, the only thing I felt bad about was the car. We're both cops. She used her personal phone, since her work one was ancient, to record audio at a scene, and asked me to help sync it with her work laptop. During the sync, all her photos automatically uploaded. In the end, we both just sat there in silence. My fiance's lover logged into her World of Warcraft account and farmed for her while she was at work. I'm in a different time zone, saw she was online, and messaged her like, "What's going on?" This guy answered, said he was her boyfriend, and was just playing as her. I go, "Actually, I'm her fiance." Things suddenly got very awkward for both of us. He posted vacation photos with his other girlfriend. Just went and posted them, like I wouldn't see or wouldn't care. It was insane and cruel. First he ghosted me, then posted their vacation photos together, then tried to convince me they were just friends. I blocked that narcissistic psycho everywhere and cut off all contact. Our entire relationship turned out to be nothing but lies. He sent my best friend a video of him railing some guy. I tore him a new one and made sure everyone found out. Not really a catching story, but I have a friend who's been married 3 times, and all 3 wives cheated on him and left him for a guy named Jeremy. 3 wives. 3 different Jeremys. He'll never live it down. He cheated on me with my own sister-in-law at my mother's funeral. I realized it when he started grabbing her butt right in front of me. Not my story, but still. In college, I rented a house with a girl. Let's call her Julia. The guy she'd been dating since high school lived literally next door. I worked at a bar. She waitressed at a restaurant run by 2 brothers. And we often met up in the living room at 2 a.m. to drink and chat. One night, there was a big tequila brand party at their restaurant, and she told me how she'd hooked up with one brother and pleasured the other over the course of the evening. Except there's a catch. She didn't notice that her BlackBerry had accidentally butt-dialed her boyfriend and left a voicemail with the whole thing. The next morning, he stormed into our house, furious. I stayed in my room until they hashed it out. I hung around just in case things got really ugly. In the end, she married the one she'd pleasured. So, I guess this story has a happy ending. Thanks so much for watching. In the comments under the video, write which story shocked you the most. Come join our Telegram channel, link below. And see you tomorrow. Big hug. Bye.